Math 50 5.4, dividing with decimals. The first example that we are going to do with dividing using decimals is, I already showed you the problem. It's, if you have the notes, problem number 1 is worked out. I just want to run through it with you. So it says 270.2 divided by 7. 7 is the divisor. The number after the division sign is what goes outside. That's called the divisor. The first number is called the dividend. That's the one that goes underneath the little division symbol. And what you're going to do, 7 goes into 270.2. You want to make sure that your decimal for that is in the dividend is lined up exactly right above the line where you're going to put that. So what you're going to do is say, how many times does 7 go into 2? It doesn't. So then you say 7 goes into 27 3 times. And then you multiply, and you get 21, and you subtract 6. You bring down the 0. How many times does 7 go into 60? And that would be 8 times. 7 times 8 is 56. And then you subtract, you get a 4. And then you bring down the 2. And 7 times 6 is 42. So there is no remainder for this problem. So the answer is 38.6. So if you wanted to check this answer, you take the quotient, this is the answer, quotient times the divisor, and you will get the dividend. Okay, so let's do another example. The next one says divide 32 into 8.32. So put the decimal above. So what you're going to do is say, how many times does 32 go into 8? It does not. So how many 32s get as close to 83 as possible, and that would be 2 of them. So 32 times 2 is 64. And then you're going to subtract, and you get 19. Bring down the 2. And how many 32s get closest to 192? And that would be 6. 6 times 32 is actually 192. And when you subtract, you have no remainder. So 0.26 is the answer. Now, if you want to check it, you take 0.26, you multiply it by the 32, and we just went over how to multiply. And you're going to go 6 times 2 is 12, 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 is 5. Then 6 times 3 is 18, 6 and 1 is 7. So, and then add 2, 3, 8, 32, and then count 2 places over, 2 places over, and voila, it matches. Okay? So 1 and 2 are done. Example 3. Example 3 says to divide negative 5.98 divided by 115. So 115 is the divisor, and we don't need this negative here. We know that our answer will come out negative, so we're just going to put 5.98 here. So put your decimal above where it's supposed to. Now, how many 115s can you get out of 5? None. How many 115s out of 59? None. So you put a 0 here. How many 115s now we're going to have to add some zeros here. Okay? So I know I can do 115 goes into 598, and that would be 5 times. So 115 times 5 is 575. Then subtract 3, 2. Now bring down the 0. And how many 115s go into 230? And that would be 2. 115 times 2 is 230. So when you subtract, you get 0 remainder. So sometimes you have to add a 0 in the dividend in order to finish it off. So 0.052 is the answer, but we have to add a negative because we're dividing by one negative. We have to use those rules. Okay? So example number 4. We're going to divide 10.764 divided by 2.3. So in this example, you're going to see that there is a decimal in the divisor. When this happens, we have to move this decimal over 1. We want the divisor to be a whole number. So we're going to move this over 1, which means I'm going to bump this over 1 as well. You have to be fair. So 23 now goes into 107.64. So put the decimal in the right spot. So now, how many 23s go into 1? None. None into 10. Now we can do, how many 23s are into 107? And that would be 4. And 4 times 23 is 92. Subtract 5, 15. Bring down the 6. How many 23s get closest to 156? And that would be 6. 23 times 6 is 138. We're going to subtract and we get 18, and then bring down the 4. How many 23s go into 184? And that would be 8. 8 times 23 is actually 184. Subtract, you get 0 remainder. So the answer is 4.68. We have no negatives, so that would be the answer. If you wanted to check this, you take your divisor, 23, you multiply 4.68, put the bigger number on top. So this, the quotient times the divisor, and that will give you your dividend. And if you want to use a calculator to check it, there's no problem. Okay. Example number 5. Example number 5 says divide 5.264 divided by 0.32. Okay, so it looks like this. 0.32 goes into 5.264. So this one, we have to move this decimal 2 places over. Therefore, we have to move this 2 places over. So your dividend becomes 526.4. Okay? So how many 32s go into 5? None. But how many 32s into 32s into 52 is 1. So 32, subtract, you get 20. Bring down the 6. There are 6 32s that will go into 206. 6 times 32 is 192. Subtract, gives you 4 and 1. And bring down the 4. How many 32s go into 144? And that's 4. 4 times 32 is 128. When we subtract, we get 16. Now, because we still have a number here, we have to keep going. So we're going to add a 0, bring a 0 down. How many 32s go into 160? And that is 5 exactly. Multiply gives us 160, and we have nothing left over. So 16.45. Okay, example 6. It says 17.5 goes into 0.48. I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. It's 17.5 divided by 0.48. Okay, so 0.48 is your divisor. 17.5 is your dividend. So we have to go 2 places under here. So it's 48. And so we have to go 2 places. So we have to add a 0. So it's 1750. And now let's put a decimal and put some zeros just in case we have to add any. So this one is going to go like this. So how many 48s go into 1? None. 17, none. But 175, there's 3 of them. 48 times 3 is 144. And when we subtract, we get 31. Bring down this 0. How many 48s go into, and don't forget you have a decimal right there. How many 48s into 310? And that would be 6. 6 times 48 is 288. Subtract, and you get 22, and bring down the 0. How many 48s go into 220? And that would be 4, I believe. 4 times 48 is 192. When you subtract, you get 8, 280. Okay. Okay, and then, so we have to, I'm sorry, I brought down the 0, so that's 280. So then 48 goes into 280, that would be 5 times. 5 times 48 would be 240. Subtract, you get 40. And now we need another 0. So 48 times what is closest to 400, and that would be about 8. And when we get, so I'm going to put 400 here. 8 times 48 is 384, and when we subtract, we get 16. Now you could keep going, and this number, we don't know how many places, but the question says round to the nearest hundredth. So this kind of piggybacks on one of the previous sections, rounding. So this is the tenths. This is the hundredths. And this is the thousandths. So if it's asking you to round to the nearest hundredth, really we stop here. This 8 tells us to bounce this number up. So the answer is approximately, we use these squiggly equal to signs, 36.46. We're rounding, we're bumping this 100 spot up 1 because that was an 8. It's bigger than anything greater than 5 or 5 or above, you're going to move that up. Okay, example 6. We are now example 7. Let's estimate. When you estimate, and I gave you the answer to this one, here is, I'm going to go over this one quickly. The question is 272.356 divided by 28.4. 28.4 is your divisor. So we have to move this over 1 and move the dividend over 1. So you get it ready for division like we did on the previous 6 problems. When you do it, you get 9.59. So to estimate, I would turn my divisor into 30 and make this 270. So then you can do this quickly. 3 times 9 is 27, so it's 20. 3 times 9 is 27, so 30 times 9 is 270. Can't talk. You could also have turned this into 30 and this into 300, and that would be an easy way to divide. The whole thing with estimating is you want to do it so it's numbers that are easy to do in your head, or easy to do than this long process. Okay, so obviously 9.59 is in between 9 and 10. It's a reasonable answer. Okay, the next section is really easy. How do you divide using powers of 10? Very easy. When you're dividing with powers of 10, all you do is move the decimal however many units, however many zeros you have, you move it that number of places to the left. So you're dividing by 10, you're going to move your decimal 1 place to the left. So 569.2 divided by 10, you're going to move it 1 place to the left, so it becomes 56.92. This one, 569.2, you're dividing by, you have 10,000, which is 4 zeros. So you're going to move this 4 places to the left, 1, 2, 3. You're missing a spot, so you're going to add 1 0. Okay, 2 more examples. Divide number 8, divide 786.1 by 1,000. You're going to move the decimal 3 places over, so it becomes 0.7861. And this one, you're dividing 0.12 divided by 10, so you're going to move it 1 place over. Well, since there's a decimal there, you have to add a 0, so it's 0.012. Okay. These next problems are evaluating. It says for number 10, evaluate. It says x divided by y, and all you do, it tells you x is 2.5. 2.5 divided by 0.05, and you just follow the same rule. So it's 0.05 divided by 2.5. You're going to move the decimal 2 over, so you have to move this 2 over, add a 0. So it's really 5 into 2, 50. 5 goes into 25 5 times, and it's 50. Okay? And for number 11, it says, is 720 a solution to this? So you do 720 divided by 100. Does this equal 7.2? Well, your decimals here, you're moving it 2 places over. So yes, 7.2 does equal 7.2. In the last problem, it says a gallon of paint covers a 250 square foot area. Betty Adkins wishes to paint a wall that measures 1,450 square feet. How many gallons does she need? So you have to figure out, you have 1,450 gallons, so 1,450 divided by 250, okay? So what you're going to do is put 250 out, that's your divisor, and 1450, and you're going to actually do this division problem. So you have your decimal right here. You can add a 0. 250 does not go into 114 or 145, but it does go into 1,450 5 times. 5 times 250 is 1250. We're going to subtract. You get 200. Bring down the 0. And 250 times 8 is 2,000. And that is your answer. So your final answer is Betty would need about 5.8 gallons. So what she should do is buy 6 gallons in order to do the job that she plans to do. Thank you.